So when it comes to the QB situation, the Bears have an interesting one on their hands. Drafted Justin Fields to become the future of the franchise, but could maybe get the call sooner than later for what we've shown in the camp so far. Easily a stud day one coming into Chicago there, but there's a few layers of this QB room when it comes to Fields and others. You got Andy Dalton there trying to kind of revamp his career. Was named the starter after signing in the offseason. And there's Nick Foles, that third option guy that loves to throw it around the third stringers, he said a few days ago, apparently. Oh, there's one thing. He happens to have a ring as well. So if you're Matt Nagy, I guess you could just roll the dice on maybe who's going to save your job up there in Chicago. All right, let's get things rolling with our Ryan Wilson checking in. And Ryan, the Bears have their hands full here. You got Dalton, Fields, and Foles. Take your pick here. Is this the most interesting QB group we might have this preseason?
It's certainly one of them, Brandon, and you sort of touched on the math that Matt Nagy has to do because there were some conversations that he may not return after last season. Mr. Trubisky is now gone, the former first-round pick. He's in Buffalo. Ryan Pace, the GM who drafted him, is still there, but he also, like Matt Nagy's on the hot seat. So what do? Well, they traded up and they got Justin Fields, which makes a ton of sense, made every Bears fans that I know extremely happy. But then what do you do next? You mentioned Andy Dalton has already been named the starter. How long does that last? Is Nick Foles going to be there even when the season starts? Because we know there have been some reports that perhaps he ends up in Indianapolis now that Carson Wentz is banged up for some time there. But that brings you back to Justin Fields. What do you want to do with your young quarterback? Last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, Brandon, these first-round quarterbacks have always started, if not week one, usually by the middle of the season. Is that fair for Justin Fields in this situation? Not necessarily. They drafted Tevin Jenkins, the offensive lineman, in the second round. He has back concerns, and Matt Nagy admitted he's not sure when he'll be ready to go. So the offensive line is concerned. They have issues in terms of their playmakers, and they play an incredibly tough division. So I think if you're going to bring Justin Fields in, you could do it week 2 when they play the Bengals. I think it makes more sense to wait to perhaps week 4 when you play the Lions, and you can feel much more comfortable about a victory there. They follow with the Raiders the following week, a team that's not known for their defense. But it all is going to come down to, number one, how Andy Dalton plays early in the season, and number 2, the pressure that's put on Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace should the Bears lose some football games to put Justin Fields in there. Can Justin Fields have success? Absolutely, but I think it makes more sense to wait perhaps a month or so before you throw him out there and have him pretty much fight for his life in what's going to be an incredibly tough division.
So the Bears, they have 3 options there. As you just mentioned, the Niners, they're just juggling 2 right now with Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance, who they drafted, of course. The rookie has been putting in some work in camp. And what's the plan for Kyle Shanahan to kind of get him some time in preseason, though?
Yeah, so here's the thing. This is a different conversation because we know Justin Fields was dominant last year at Ohio State and even the year before that. Trey Lance didn't play last year except for one showcase game at the FCS level. And, oh, by the way, he's an FCS quarterback. That's the competition he's faced. In terms of the measurables, they're off the charts. Arm strength, above the neck. He's incredibly smart, football mind, incredibly smart just in everyday life. Those things are all things that are attractive to Kyle Shanahan, but that doesn't mean you have to roll him out there. In part because, like I said, he hasn't played, but also because when Jimmy Garoppolo is healthy, and Kyle Shanahan knows this, he's seen it, they can win football games to the point where they can get to the Super Bowl and had, with 10 minutes to go, a chance to win the Super Bowl. So I think the big thing is keeping Jimmy G healthy, making sure the defense returns to the form that we've seen now that Bosa's going to be back. They have Javon Kinlaw. They have playmakers there. Fred Warner just signed his huge deal. And then on offense, getting things going again. Brandon Ayuk's going to be there, obviously Deebo Samuel. They drafted Trey Sermon to help in the running back position. Their offensive line is going to be good. And just like the NFC North, talking about the Bears playing a tough division, this is the toughest division of football. So the 49ers don't have time to let Trey Lance grow on the job, but they can use him in packages in much the same way the Ravens used Lamar Jackson with Joe Flacco back during Lamar Jackson's rookie season. I expect we'll see some of those things. Circle back a year from now and see where Trey Lance is and whether they want to move on from Jimmy G then and elevate Trey Lance to the starting job.
All right, in Philly, there's question marks who's going to start there. We're assuming it's Jalen Hurts, and Nick Sirianni hasn't named anybody. Ryan, 1 second, I need to ask my assistant. Hey, Siri, is Jalen Hurts going to be the starter? What does he need to show Nick Sirianni on Thursday?
I don't know. Why don't you ask Ryan Wilson? You have asked him everything else.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. All right, well, Ryan, you heard it there. What does Jalen Hurts needs to show Sirianni to be named QB1 in Philly?
Hey, shout out to Siri. You changed it from the female voice to the male voice. Sounds a lot like Brian Tully. I want to get that on my phone, see if we can do that. So that's awesome. And number 2, what is going to happen with Jalen Hurts? Because, look, Nick Sirianni isn't saying much, and sometimes you hear questions from those who know how much of in control Nick Sirianni actually is. But right now it's Jalen Hurts' job, because guess what the backup plan is, Brandon and or Siri? Joe Flacco. You see Nick Mullins right there, too. That's behind door number 2 and door number 3. You got to roll with Jalen Hurts. There's some conversation also, and less so in recent weeks, about what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson, whether he ends up in Philadelphia. But we don't know what the NFL is going to do. We don't know what the legal ramifications are going to be for Deshaun Watson. So right now is Jalen Hurts' game, a job to keep. And he can do that by playing well on Thursday night when they face the Steelers, even if it's in limited snaps, which you expect it to be. But he can't come out there and throw a bunch of interceptions. If he's B-, that's good enough. You build on that, but you can't be D+ and then not expect there to be a torrent of pushback, both in the media and from fans, and then Nick Sirianni having to address those concerns.
Well, it seems like we got to get Siri on your phone. I mean, because you like the way that, Siri kind of answered there, right? We got to get that on your phone, right?
Yeah, send me the app. I'll sign up for that special limited edition Siri voice. I like that.
Yeah, it's limited. All right. Ryan Wilson checking in on everything in the NFL. Appreciate your time, my friend. Don't forget the conversation continues on all things covered. I can't guarantee if Siri, or maybe call it Terry or BT, the voice there, download and give the guys a follow course, checking on everything with the camp in NFL. Can't miss it.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.